Welcome back to the podcast, to the YZ Legacy podcast. Roll the intro.
I forgot how the song is.
I forgot how it goes too. So, last episode we talked about why we're doing this podcast and the three big events that led us here.
Mm-hmm.
One of those was a prophetic word I received in December of 2022. And we're going to kind of break that down for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Go more in depth to it.
Yeah, go more in depth on it. I
Some
feel like I'm jumping right in it. Are we missing anything? We gave our sponsors a shout out. Sponsor to the Holy Spirit. Sponsor Jesus. Sponsor the Father. Shout out. Thank you for providing us with the ability to do this. So, it says explain why prophetic words are important and how they help guide our faith journey. I mean, man, chat, that is a loaded question. Why are prophetic words important? I think prophetic words are important because they lead you closer to God.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear it through someone else that you trust's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people can say, God said blank. And that's why the Bible says we have to test the fruit.
I think also you can be asking the Lord for a word or like a sign or something, and sometimes, I know you've said it before, but it's like it's really hard to like hear for yourself.
Yeah.
And
I'm so bad at hearing for myself, especially yes or no type questions.
Because it's like, am I listening? It's that discerning of, am I listening to myself or am I listening to the Lord? Like, am I hearing the Lord's voice or am I hearing myself voice? And you really have to like die to yourself's voice in order to hear the Lord. And like sometimes it's just really hard to differentiate that. And so when the Lord sends and appoints somebody to have a prophetic word for your life, what?
You said you just did that right in the mic?
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking.
It's such a powerful thing you're saying.
I know you
I'm probably going to cut that out.
But when the Lord sends and appoints somebody to bring a word to you that you've been praying on, or even something that you haven't been seeking, and you've listened to a lie from the enemy, or you've listened to like outside voices, I think it's really important that the Lord brings community and brings people around you to listen to his voice more clearly.
I don't even really remember what I said in the last video because we recorded it 4 different times. So I kind of forgot. So forgive me if I'm saying things. So the prophetic word I received December 2022, I was at a men's breakfast at the church we were going to at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was a 3-part word. Mm-hmm. He said, in January, February, and March, you will step into a new job. The second part was you will step out from behind the camera. And the third part was you will enter into a better mental health space. ADHD and mental struggles will not define you anymore. And at first I assumed, so the first part being getting a new job, I thought that I was like, at that season in my life, I was exploring starting my own online business. Mm-hmm. I was working with the pastor of that church, trying to see if there's any way that we could launch some sort of social media marketing, creative aspect to the church, getting it online, starting a podcast, anything that we could do to get me a position there, or something similar where I could work with many churches in the area, helping with audio, video, social media, podcasts, things like that.
Because that's what you did when you came home from Youth with a Mission in 2019.
Yeah, when I came home December 2019, January 1st or 2nd week in January, I started working for a church running audio, video, and loved it. And then from that, it wasn't a full-time job. It was part-time. COVID hit.
And you launched their like live stream.
Yeah, we started doing their live stream, recording all the multi-tracks for their audio and mixing it and posting it and stuff like that. Don't go back and watch those. It was so bad. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out.
But you did it.
I have this realm of audio video that I've always loved. And so I was working with the pastor at that time to see if we could start something. It didn't work out. It wasn't really anyone's it just didn't work out.
You also
The end.
felt like you didn't feel a releasing from the Lord.
Right.
Just to do it quite yet.
The whole time we were at that church, because I had come from working for a church, I felt like I really developed this spirit of judgment over any church's audio video, like as if I'm better than people, like as if I'm so good at it in my like 3 years of doing it, that I'm so good that I'm better than people who are like 60 something and retired and have been doing it for 20, 40 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I think the snare should have a little bit more pop to it. Or the kick is, too muddy. And and I'm just sitting and I'm just so judgmental. And so the Lord was like, nope. You're going to sit there and you're going to listen. And we were going to a church at that time that worship was 2 hours minimum. So it wasn't like a 30, 45 minute cutesy. We sang, or 15-minute. We sing 3 songs.
Very structured.
It's a Bethel song that's 3 minutes and 53 seconds. So we're going to play it 3 minutes and 53 seconds. Mm-hmm. We're going to do 3 or 4 of those. We're going to have some kind of powerful moment. Mm-hmm. The pastor's going to get up and talk on it. Go home after an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Cut and dry church. It was not like that. So every Sunday, for the most part, I traveled a lot for work at that time too. Mm-hmm. We sat there and listened to it. And I just had to sit there.
Just had to sit there. And
for 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years.
And your ear, I would say, not Emily, your wife, but I would say like your ear is very trained and tuned to like you and Kristen Hostetler. Shout out. You and Kristen have like such like I don't even know what it is called. It's like such a just a trained ear for those types of things. So it's like, not that there was anything wrong with what we were listening to, but it was just like you could pick up in any situation, like, oh, it could be, you could add a little bit more here, or you can turn this up. And it's because you were trained pretty well in.
Well, that was another
YWAM.
Prophetic word I got. Yeah. That was a little bit more of a prayer prophetic word that I can share real quickly.
Yeah.
And then I'll get back into it. So 2018, January of 2018, I started working with Youth with a Mission. That's where I met Emily. Mm-hmm. YWAM.
We'll get into that.
We'll start calling it YWAM from here on out.
Yeah, acronyms.
It's faster.
It's faster.
And I told them that I had some experience running sound before for our church that we grew up going to. Well, I wasn't lying by any means. I just did not realize at the time how intense audio engineering mixing was.
Yeah.
I was used to, you have a few sliders. It's like an acoustic guitar, maybe a cajon, and like 2 or 3 microphones. And that's it. I was used to that like small 30, 40, 50 person youth group.
Big thing.
And I wasn't used to a 200, 300, 400 person room that you're mixing and mastering thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, the soundboard alone is what, $5,000, $10,000.
Yeah. Speakers,
all of our microphone equipment, everything. So I didn't know what all it entailed. I got myself into it. I think the more y'all listen to this podcast, the more you'll realize how much stuff I get myself into just by like thinking I know what I'm doing or sticking my foot in my mouth or whatever, i.e. Ronald McDonald House that one time at the Alliance. Anyways.
Shout out.
So the worship leader there, she noted, I mentioned I was having trouble. I just couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what reverb was, and I couldn't understand the board. And she told me of a story where she had a similar experience. She was learning did it again. She was learning Pro Tools, and she couldn't understand it. And someone prayed over her and said, may the Lord, something like, pray that the Lord would reveal, Holy Spirit would reveal wisdom and knowledge of this program to her. And she went back and she just instantly knew. So she told me that story. She prayed the same prayer over me. We got done with our little brief.
It's like before the worship set.
Before the worship set briefing.
It's like the pre-prayer thing.
Still
pre-briefing.
Pre-worship prayer.
Yeah.
And I went back to the board and it just clicked and I just understood it. And ever since then, I've just always loved it and I've always understood it, at least to the level of someone who had 3 years experience.
Yeah, that's my favorite story that you tell.
Yeah. And I could go more in depth on it, but so I feel like we've so side tangented everything.
But going back to the prophetic word in 2022, in December of 2022, what were you thinking? I mean, and you can answer this when you explain all of it.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking when you first heard it? So explain it and then we'll go. I'll re-ask that question.
I think I was thinking it would happen that January, February, March. Something that y'all will learn as you hear the voice of the Lord and we hear the voice of the Lord over our family and everything like that is often he will say something. He will give us a date or a timeline and we think it might be the next upcoming month or day. And it's not, or it doesn't. I mean, it might not always be. So I thought it was that next January, February, March, 2023. That comes and goes. I got the idea and passion to start my own business, but that was about it. Mm-hmm. Then 2024, January, February, March, I left the job I was at for a startup. That lasted about 2 months. I say 3 or 4 weeks, but I think it was longer. We just got our taxes for it, and it was like a lot more than I realized. So I think it was
probably was like 5 weeks.
I think it was 4, and then they dissolved it, and then they paid me for the remainder 2.
Yeah.
Though they just paid me through the month, and then that was it. So I think it was about 2 months worth of pay at least. That brought us to beginning of March. I think it was.
I thought it dissolved in March.
It was February, March, and so that must have been through March.
Yeah.
So beginning of March is when it dissolved, and then or second week in March is when it dissolved, and then they paid me through March. So then I decided, all right, well, I got that prophetic word. I should start my own business. This is I was like, this is January, February, March. Maybe it was this time.
Yeah.
Maybe it was January, February, March 2024. I was just 1 year off.
Yeah.
And so I started my own business. Then Silas was born.
Our firstborn.
2 or 3 weeks after March 29th.
Yeah.
And we spent 2 months in the NICU with him. And I just spent those 2 months we spent the past year trying to build the business. But those 2 months I spent in the NICU. We spent in the NICU with him just trying to build the business, creating websites for people.
Cold calling.
I would sit in the break room and I would go through Facebook groups, Greensboro local businesses, and I would just start calling people. I would look at all the new members and I would go, hey, is this John with
blah
blah landscaping? Yeah. Oh man, that's super cool. Yeah, I saw that we were in the same Facebook group. I've just been reaching out to people, offering these services, blah, blah, blah. And I think that got me 1 client. And I did that for weeks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we took a week in the NICU and we were just like, okay, Lord, what does this mean?
Yeah.
You know, I was figuring out all the stuff. And then you were just like, I'm going to start this. You're like, I think we need to jump on this. And you poured while I was like tending to Silas and like pumping and like all this other stuff. You like poured your heart and soul into Spark Point Creative. And like we got moved to the new room about like 4 weeks into being in the NICU.
I think it was 2.
2 weeks.
And then we were there for four more weeks and we were in the last room for a week.
Yeah. So you like, and then you like research like how to do a sales call, how to do a cold call.
I was watching YouTube videos, researching Reddit forums.
And then you'd go to like the NICU parents' lunchroom and you're like, okay, I'm going to make a call. And I was like, okay, let's pray. Let's, don't be nervous, be confident in the Lord. And like,
dude, I remember the first few days I was just like, and I would like leave voicemails and I would sound like such a dork. I'm Andrew. You don't know that. I'm with Please buy my services. Click.
Which is so funny because I feel like everyone, no matter what kind of voice message you're leaving, I feel like everyone gets off of it. It's like, I sound so dumb.
Oh my gosh, sounds so terrible.
Okay, I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
which this can like be like the
segue.
Yeah. So at what point, first off, I didn't know about like the mental health struggles that this person that the Lord sent you. Like, explain that. Like,
I mean, I think it's always been something I've dealt with, just mentally, like self-aware, I guess, mentally dealt with, of thinking I'm being too much, or I don't know. I mean, I just think it's always been something that's been on the back of my mind.
mm-hmm.
You know, when you like see videos of yourself, you just think like bad thoughts about yourself. And so I think that's another reason why I always wanted to be behind the camera, was I would see videos of myself as a kid or high school or whatever, and I would just not like it. I would think I was so, like awkward or uncomfortable or lanky or just like shifty, or like, I just really struggled with that mentality. And I think something in our society is always talked about as like, which one do you have, ADHD or ADD? And it's like you have to, or OCD, it's like you have to have some diagnosis to fit in.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost like a trend to have some sort of mental disorder. And it's so backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something I've always struggled with about myself. And then that word really it kind of caught me off guard, but I was like, oh.
How do you know?
Yeah. How do you know I've struggled with that?
Yeah.
It's because the Lord knows I've struggled with that.
Right. Yeah. So then, at what point did you realize that this was bigger than just a shift in a job, or like a shift in...
I think right now I'm realizing that.
Yeah.
I think January, February, March of 2023, I thought something was going to happen, and it was just me getting that idea.
Mm-hmm.
January, February, March 2025, I get this idea and passion to start this podcast, to really talk about our lives, to talk about our marriage,
Mm-hmm.
to document our growing with the Lord, so that we can teach our children, so our children can learn things from us. And just kind of all this stuff just started happening. Everything with your mom, it really started to open my eyes to just how limited our time on earth is, and I don't want to waste it. I think our society calls it like quarter life crisis or whatever. Yeah. I don't think I experienced quarter life crisis by any means. People that throw the word crisis on things, oh, I just don't like my job, I'm going through a midlife crisis. Bro, slow down.
I'm gonna buy a sports car.
You're just realizing that life is fleeting. And
and you just need to change.
And so I just realized that. I just realized you never know when today's going to be your last. You never know when the Lord's going to call you home. And how can I make the most of my time here on earth? Yeah. How can I cultivate a generation of all of the wisdom and knowledge that's been passed down to us, to our children and the next generations? And so this January, February, March 2025, it seems like I got a 3-part word, and then it took 3 years to kind of happen. Yeah. I say that now, January, February, March of next year. But it's like, who knows what could happen, but
it almost feels like this word that you got over the past 3 years has like stair-stepped up, and like, okay, 2023, nothing happened. You were kind of just waiting for the Lord. 2024, you saw some glimpses, and then I think the Lord really, in March of 2024, really reshaped our faith and reshaped our trust in who He is. And now that we're through 2024, coming into a year of 2025, now it's like bigger and better, and it's like, okay, Lord, I have this new establishment of who you are in my life, and now it's like, okay, let me expand it even more. Yeah.
Now I'm stepping out from behind the camera. Like, I figured out the job concept, all of the mental health stuff. And even though he shared it, not out of order, but it just happened differently than the order he shared it in.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of the final piece, is stepping out. I thought when he was first saying that, I thought like in church, like I was going to be getting up on stage or saying things or whatever. And I was like, bro,
no.
I don't know about that. There was one time when I just was really, really struggling, personal struggles.
Yeah.
And don't have to get into all that right now. And I felt like I had something, and the Lord was like, that's not from me, and you're not allowed on that stage yet. I was like, uh-oh, sorry, Dad. But just like, not that when he wasn't speaking it out of anger or anything, but it just was out of love. It was like, that's not from me.
Right.
And I haven't released you to go up there yet.
Right.
And I saw something, and I thought it would be a really cool moment for this to happen.
Right.
But it wasn't him. And he let me know.
Let me be the person to deliver that word.
Yeah.
When it was probably just for you, or
it was just my flesh talking.
Your flesh talking, yeah.
Because sometimes I think we can often see worship and we can go, man, it would be really cool if we started singing this song, or
how would this song fit in, or
right, or man, it would be really cool if we broke out into this type of ministry or this type of ministry or whatever. But that's why it's so crucial that we lean on the Holy Spirit for things. That's why it's so crucial for us to rely on the Holy Spirit for worship and just for our daily lives, is because it's so easy for us to see what the Lord has done before and what we think he should do again, or what we think should happen in this moment because we've experienced moments like it.
Yeah.
So, but no, he meant stepping out from behind the camera now. So I adjusted the cameras a little bit. Silas, you have been waking up in the night all night long, and your mom just was able to put you back down mid-podcast. So
you wake up an hour after you sleep, and then 2 hours after you sleep.
You've been sleeping with mommy and daddy a lot lately. I kind of forgot where we left off. Sorry for that pause. I adjusted my camera a little bit.
Well, okay, so then let me just ask the question.
Okay.
So all of that last 3 years was like a whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Lord really made us take a step out in faith. And uncomfortable, yes.
Yeah.
So was there at any point during that time that you doubted the prophetic word? Either during that season or during these last 3 years?
I think doubt is something I've always struggled with. Right? Like Thomas.
Doubting Thomas.
However, anytime I've doubted the Lord, I just have to take it back to when he's proven me wrong. So I doubted the Lord here, he proved me wrong, and now I have evidence that he is faithful and he will come through for me, and he will do what he promised to do.
Yeah.
Because I have proof and evidence that he's done it before.
Yeah.
I have evidence that he's done it before. Because he did it here, and he did it here, and he did it here, and he did it here. So now when I'm doubting, I go, well, every single time he's ever told me he's going to do something, he's fulfilled it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure, there was probably moments I doubted, and then I just had to remember.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to choose to trust him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's so important. That's why love is a choice. That's why our actions are a choice. Our emotions are a choice. Is because we choose to trust him. We choose to love him in the moments that it feels like he's not coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's always comes through. He always delivers. That's what he said he's going to do. He said he's always going to do it, and he's always done it.
Right.
So if he isn't doing it in your timeline,
maybe
your timeline's wrong.
Maybe you need to lay down that timeline.
Yeah. Well, Lord, you said you were going to do it by this date. Maybe you got the date wrong. Maybe you got the year wrong. Maybe you got the month wrong. Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, I'm the sinner. He's not. I'm the one with error. He's not. So if there is error, probably on me, the guy with error. It's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah.
People sit there and they go, well, God, blah, blah, blah. And God's like, you, blah, blah, blah.
The person who's fully human and not fully God and fully human.
I don't know. It's just funny. So, yeah, I mean, I think the first January, February, March, I was like, really felt like more was gonna happen here.
Yeah. Did you feel like, did you hear any, like, did the Lord speak? I just want to know personally.
Okay.
But during the time that it was like last February and March 2024, did he speak anything like during the startup, the dissolving, and the startup again, basically, for your company?
What do you mean, did he say anything?
No, but like, I mean, you hold the Lord's words like pretty close to your heart and what he speaks to you. And so I was just wondering if he spoke anything during that time between the dissolving of the company and then starting SparkPoint Creative that kind of matched up with this prophetic word.
I think during that time I was thinking, oh, now the word is meant for this January, February, March. And so now that we're in 2025, January, February, March, I'm going, oh, it's meant for this one. So I think, I don't know if there's something specific he spoke, and I could just be not remembering right now. I think it was more of just him reminding me of that word.
Yeah.
And I think I just felt a sense of his presence on SparkPoint Creative and on our entire situation. I don't think I was ever really afraid of finances in that I know you were still working, so you still had your job that was helping income. And so I knew what you were making covered mortgage and the bills. And so I felt this freedom from the Lord to like just relax and trust him.
Yeah.
Because the things I would typically fear over, he had us covered.
That makes one of us. Baby girl is freaking out internally.
I think I almost had to force myself to not be afraid. I couldn't, because I knew if I was afraid, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so again, one of those things, I had to choose to not be afraid. I had to choose to trust him. Recently is just choosing to trust, choosing to have faith, choosing to love.
I know. I kind of went through my questions a little bit.
Yeah, all good. So I'm kind of realizing that we didn't really, I shared a lot of Bible verses last episode that pertained to our situation, and I didn't really share any, so I'm going to share them now. Habakkuk?
Yes, that's how you say it.
I always say Habakkuk, and I always get told that that's wrong.
Habakkuk.
And I'm like, have you seen this? Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2:3 says, "For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It hastens toward the goal, and it will not fail. Though it delays, wait for it, for it will certainly come. It will not delay long." And that verse, I think, really stood out to me during this season, the whole past really 2-3 years, 2.5 years is really from us dating and getting engaged and married and everything that we've gone through. It's really, I think you have this 2-part thing when you kind of come to this realization that life is fleeting.
Yeah.
You feel this sense of, I need to rush and hurry and get everything done and accomplished while I'm still young and healthy. But then there's also this sense of, we have to wait on the Lord and his timing. And if we rush ahead of him, we rush ahead of him.
Yeah.
And then we get out of his will. We can get out of his will because we think we know better, or we think we know the timeline, or we think we know what he's doing because we assume instead of asking and waiting. So that's a verse that really helps put into perspective that it's all about his timing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Titus 3 really wrecked me and really put that fire under my butt, like I said last time. Just to kind of help wrap things up, I think our biggest takeaway from this journey is to trust God, to choose to trust God.
Yeah.
And trust that God knows what he's doing, even when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest probably top five points we need to make here is choosing to trust God, because almost like it's almost as if he like created everything and he like put everything into order. It's like kind of crazy. It's almost like he's perfect and divine.
It's like he knows what's gonna happen.
All knowing, all omnipresent, omnipotent.
Omnipotent.
Omni blank.
Yep.
So
Omni blank.
So yeah, so that's probably big takeaway from this from this episode is choose to trust, because it's in his timing and in his will, not ours.
I think also just like not being so like down in the dumps about the waiting process and the waiting period. I mean, we have both collectively and separate from our years being in ministry, I mean longer, but just like knowing that when the Lord gives you a word, like not like how you're saying, not rush it, and like because the Lord knows everything, but also like enjoying the waiting process, because the waiting process is like so beautiful in that. Because I feel like with that, and even in my own testimonies, the Lord has pruned things out of me during the waiting process, and like has, what I say is like, do I want the waiting process to be like thorns and thickets, or do I want it to be this beautiful garden of like being submerged and like immersed in the Lord, and and being like, okay, Lord, like you were saying, just having the faith. So like enjoying the waiting process, and not rushing it or delaying it.
Something my mom taught me, I should have learned it better. She told me when I was younger, is the Lord often operates in a spiral, and when he's trying to teach you something now, and then you choose to disobey or not learn the lesson he's trying to teach you, he's just going to come right back around.
Yeah.
But it's also it's also kind of picture going up a mountain. So as it comes back, it's getting higher and higher and higher and higher. So every time you don't learn a lesson you need to learn, because he needs you to learn these lessons, it's going to come back to you, and it's going to be even tougher.
Yeah.
So do you want that waiting season? Do you want the obedient season to be the thorn and thickets? Mm-hmm. And then if you disobey, then it's going to come back and be even thornier and thicketier. How about that? Or you can be obedient the first time.
Yeah. You
can learn your lesson and get to enjoy the beauty of a waiting period, or a period of what he's got for you.
Right.
And you can enjoy, I think something that's hard for me is if I've ever been disobedient and it's just been like this.
What is that?
That's like, that's like that. Like, dragging your heels in the mud. Like this.
Okay. Got it. Thanks for the visual.
Anytime I've gone through a thicket or thorn of like being disobedient, but then I've like kind of done it or whatever, and then he delivers on his promise because he said he's gonna. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, man, I don't deserve this, Lord. You did this for me. And I dug my heels in and I disobeyed you and I kicked and screamed and you did this for me. So, i.e., that'll tee up. Here we go. Whoop, tee it up. Next episode, talking about everything that we went through with Silas, and how the Lord gifted us something that we didn't deserve, we didn't earn. He had grace and mercy on Emily and Silas's lives.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to start crying now.
Kept them safe, protected them.
Yeah.
And so we're going to dive in deep about that whole story. Mm-hmm. Get to hear both sides of the situation on what it was like to be in Emily's shoes and what it was like to be in my shoes and your mother's shoes, and
get ready for that adventure.
In my shoes, which, to give too graphic detail.
Oh yeah.
There was ended in a lot of blood all over my shoes. I've got a picture of that somewhere. All of the blood.
You have okay, yeah.
I don't have them anymore. I threw them away.
Oh.
I did keep them. I wore them for a while after, almost like I was proud of it.
I didn't like spill all my blood. It wasn't all of my blood.
It was a lot.
I didn't have to have a transfusion.
It was a lot.
Okay.
And it was really scary.
Well, I didn't have to have a transfusion.
I tried to put on a big boy face, but it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And it hit the ground and splattered all over my shoes. So gross.
Welcome to birth.
Yeah. I don't know how much time we really have.
Did you forget to set an alarm again?
Oh, I got 3 minutes left on the alarm.
Oh, wait.
But I wanted to play a little game like we did last time. But this is probably a 45-minute podcast.
That's okay. What did we learn? I really wanted to sing that.
Oh, because it says that?
Yeah.
And what did we learn? Where does it say that?
Number 4, reflection.
Oh, reflection.
What did we learn? Oh, that's so good.
All right. I'll ask one question and then we can wrap it up. What's the best era of TV and cartoons? Like you're like 90s or 2000s. So like we already kind of talked about this, but you can look at it real quick.
Unmatched. I mean, is that what it's telling I was going to say?
Yeah, it was anticipating like what your perspective is versus my perspective.
Okay. I mean,
we can also pick a different one.
No, I'm going to disagree with that answer. I'm going to say it was 2000s.
Really?
Yeah, because one, I didn't get any of them. We didn't have cable. We had generic antenna TV.
Generic antenna.
Classic
generic antenna.
I mean, it was just ABC and PBS. Like, I didn't have...
Center.
What? Oh. I didn't have, like, Disney Channel or Nickelodeon or, like, any of that, which we would watch that at my grandparents' house when we spent the night. But, I mean, even just, like, going back when I was, like, in middle school... And, like, hearing about, like, oh, did you see the new iCarly episode? Or did you see the new...
That is a good point.
Hannah Montana. Like, it just... Those characters, like, grew up with us.
Yeah.
You know, like, those actors are, like, the same age as us. So it was, like, they were going through what we were going through. So I would say 2000s was probably...
Peak.
The best.
TV.
Yeah.
I think right up until Disney XD rolled out. Once Disney XD came out, it was like kind of starting to get cringy. There was a few good ones right off the bat, but then once you got like a little bit into Disney XD, and then maybe like halfway through until the end of that, because there was that I don't remember what it was. Anyways, how about maybe Disney XD wasn't that bad, but it was in that kind of general era that TV started getting bad. Once they got like this new wave of child actors in, like the whole like Lab Rats, and what's that one where it was like the 3 robotic kids, and I don't know, it just was just weird. Once like Hannah Montana went off the air,
and all High School Musicals like died
High School
down.
Musical stopped.
I mean, High School Musical #1 was peak.
I remember
peak television.
I think it was High School Musical 2 or 3 was coming out, and was it that it was coming to TV, or did it air on TV first? We didn't go to a movie theater to watch it.
It always aired on Disney Channel.
I remember like
one night
waiting up to watch it. Like we were so excited. It was all we could talk about at school. Like everybody was so excited, like how our parents were. You were for Friends. Like that, like one of the worst TV shows ever created, Friends. Many people talk about it as if it's like the greatest thing ever, and they would like have watch parties, and
the last episode was the greatest episode.
Anyone that's ever watched TV ever could have called what was going to happen.
You could have called Rachel getting off the plane. Sorry.
Yeah, anyone that knows anything about TV
that she loved Ross and she didn't know it until
they spent 100 seasons teeing that up.
I know, they're just meant to be.
I've never even seen it.
And
that's how bad it is. I've never seen it.
Monica and Chandler having twins and they didn't even know it. You know?
I don't even know it.
Just saying.
All right. We never did come up with that. That last word.
I know.
All right.
Well,
till next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.